Hey everyone, and welcome to Sasquatch Theory. And in today's episode, we have Brandon from Arkansas who wanted to share his Bigfoot experience from the Buffalo River. If you enjoy listening to cryptid encounters here on Sasquatch Theory, please like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification to stay up to date with all my future videos. Things have been moving along pretty steadily here on my end, and I appreciate everyone for resubscribing, or to all the new subscribers here on the channel. We have a lot of things to look forward to here in the near future, so keep an eye out for new videos, interviews, and research. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for you guys, so I appreciate all the viewers, all the supporters, and Bigfoot enthusiasts. I really appreciate you guys, and it really means a lot to me. Alright guys, let's dive straight into this next Bigfoot experience, and let's keep these interviews rolling. Brandon, welcome to Sasquatch Theory. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, Miguel?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for asking. Brandon, if you would, tell us a little bit about yourself and your Bigfoot experience from the very beginning, please.
Yeah, I'm from Northwest Arkansas, and I hadn't really had any thoughts of Sasquatch until I had this encounter of sort. I was out camping with my ex-wife and my daughter out in Richland Creek Campground in Arkansas, and it's a pretty beautiful area. There's a lot of waterfalls out here and a lot of cliffs. And we were just out hiking to a place called the Devil's Fork. It's Twin Falls. People actually kayak off of these two 15-foot waterfalls, and then they go downstream. It's a class 5 type of rapid here. And I didn't even have any thoughts of Sasquatch or Bigfoot beforehand. And I'm camping. We're camping there up in the rooftop tent, and I'm in the ground tent with my German Shepherd Husky. And he's pretty fluffy, but he's pretty mean, though. He's a big dog, so he stands his ground. It was about literally 3:10 a.m. as I'm sleeping, and then I was awoken. Just a roaring boom. Probably lasted up to 10 to 15 seconds. As that happened, me and my dog both awoken, and he had gotten a mohawk on his back as he was being concerned, and though he was actually pushing back into me and really in fear. And laying on top of me, shaking with a mohawk on his back. And he's a 100-pound dog, and I was about suffocated on our air mattress. Now, as this roar is going, it changes through what I would consider about 4 different tones. At first, it was just an explosion, like someone screaming at their children, dad's deepest tone. And then it was about a mix of a bear and an elk, but there was no type of high-pitched bugle within. It was more like close to a mountain lion, but still not a mountain lion. Common sense was just telling me that something else was out there. But as it died off, it really had more of a female tone to it. Kind of sad, like it was just lost, or it lost somebody around, or it was just, I don't know what it was screaming, but it was just exactly the same as what you may hear on. I've looked at plenty of other screams, and it just sounds so similar to those 10-second screams. And after that, in the morning, I asked a couple of other campers around if they heard anything, and nobody really was into the Bigfoot thing. They didn't think that they heard a roar, and I think most of the campers were just there having a good time. A lot of people on the trail that day when we were hiking, and never considered it. About 4 or 5 groups of 3 to 7 people. It's a pretty active time. So what I had experienced was a very concerning roar. It was from the campground. I'd probably say about 1/8 of a mile to 1/4 of a mile. And I have, from that point is when my research began to figure out what I heard. I did find a BFRO report of a 18x7 footprint, but he didn't think to take a photo of it at the time. And he did make the report of that, and that stream. And the actually meets the Buffalo River from that point and flows into that.
Can you repeat that last part again? It kind of cut out a little bit.
The Richland Creek flows into the from upstream. It ends at the Buffalo River and in the mount around the Maumee.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that report from the BFRO, that's in that same area, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. And is that the person you said that you knew that had an experience there? Or is that someone else? I think we talked about it yesterday a little bit.
Oh, so there's a podcast I sent you a while back. Another kayak. I have made comments on a local Arkansas kayaking Facebook group page about, I just say Bigfoot sometimes, and I actually got a response from another kayaker and lives in an area in middle Arkansas, and he is into Bigfoot and sent me a podcast that happened 2.7 miles past Rush. So I listened to that, and a friend had gone hiking in the area, and I asked him jokingly if he had any Bigfoot experience. And I sent him the podcast to give him his own opinion. And what he basically responded back to me was that he was at he was doing the Indian Rock House Trail, I believe, near Buffalo Point. But he parked at Rush and they hiked in, and he was at a spring-fed hole where the water was just flowing from the ground. It was nice and cool. He just heard up in the trees, just rocks flying through the leaves, breaking leaves and limbs, and it hit the ground and rolled down the hill. And it was off of a ridge above him. And after I sent the podcast, he says, "Man, I believe that might have been a Sasquatch, possibly. I mean, the size of the rock." And he said it was just dead silent as that happened. Everybody just was quiet, and there was nothing going on. He said he smelled around and didn't really smell anything, but he thinks that was quite an interesting encounter for that to happen out there.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's pretty close as well. Okay. Do you think there were multiple Sasquatch vocalizing that night?
I'd only heard the one, as if it may have been by itself, trying to, or maybe it was the end of their hunt, or their routine, or the beginning of their time to come out.
Mm-hmm. And the first vocalization, it sounded pretty powerful, but you said the last one kind of sounded sad. Is that correct?
I instantly thought, wow, that's a female, whatever it is. It was really like just had a sad, low pitch, but like some mild pitch to it. It wasn't really deep, but it was still high as it was low.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if they do that to try to push people out of their area, because like maybe they know there's people down there camping and they don't like that.
There was a group of 20 people, and when we left in the morning, that actually came out or I think they were going. I can't tell if they were going in or out, but they were full on backpacking. It was about a group of 20 people that were coming out of coming from the downstream.
Yeah. And do you think these are physical creatures living out there, or do you think there's something paranormal behind it? Have you had any UFO experiences, any paranormal stuff happen in the past?
I've had. I travel for work and around here, and I probably see 5 to 10 new people a day. And I have had some people in this area speak of animal mutilations couple of them related to areas I think that there could be Squatch, and also equally just more likely possibly taking organs. This one person had a deer in their backyard and on the lake here, and said there was just a perfectly circular hole in it and the heart was out. And I just thought that was interesting. And I have seen in the sky zigzagging streams of light, and then I've seen what could just be comets because they have a large tail stretch on them. But yeah, I mean, paranormal, it's definitely odd how good they are at knowing how to be discreet.
Yeah, I agree. Almost too discreet, just because people don't find the bones, and they don't find a body. But if they do, maybe it's like ancient primates that have been found by different individuals. I wonder that, maybe they just name it, oh, this is a Neanderthal, or this is some primate that lived 100,000 years ago. Like, how do we really know? It could be Sasquatch.
Yeah. I have seen a video 3 times on Facebook of an old military survival like placard that actually shows the dangerous animals of Washington State, and it shows Bigfoot in that. And I've sent it 3 times to one of my friends every time I see it, and it's been removed each time. So I've just seen it. I know 3 times that, but if the government says that it's a federally protected animal, that would, make sense that it's beyond our knowledge of what it really is, and we just stay away from him, and he stays away from us.
Yeah, that is interesting. They say the best way to know if Sasquatch is around is to bring a dog, and your dog was definitely showing signs that something was off. I mean, you said it had like a mohawk on its back, like as in the hairs were standing up on its back. Is that correct?
Yeah, like a Rhodesian Ridgeback has that, where their whole spinal and the ridge with the hair just is up like a mohawk, and then even down through the tail. But he was like pushing up in me, trying to get as close to me and away from wherever anything else was. And we passed little kids on the trails, and boys specifically he is kind of doesn't like. But man, something that big is just to scare him. It's different. I have a Belgian Malinois. I haven't taken her out yet, but I want to take her out and see how she does in areas if we had any activity.
No, yeah,
She's those dogs are very, very attentive.
Mm-hmm. And did your dog bark at all, or did it just whine? Or did it not make a sound at all?
He just really didn't make a sound. He was just did not make a sound. It was quiet.
Yeah, he was probably...
He did not want to be there.
Yeah, he didn't want them to come in. That's probably what it was. And he was definitely warning you that something was off. And you said it was at 3:10 a.m. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. As it was happening, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in a Bigfoot TV show right now. And I looked at my phone and I was like, wow, this was a fast but slow 10 seconds of gathering all my thoughts, because boom, first thing was in my head was, oh, Sasquatch is yelling. Mm-hmm. And this was before I've even really was even into it or thought of it.
Yeah. And at any point, did you think of pulling out your cell phone to record it, or was it one of those things where you're like, I don't know what that is, and then you didn't think of it? Is that kind of what happened?
Oh, no. Yeah, didn't even think of recording it. I was just in the moment, like hearing it, and wow, just absorbed it. And yeah, didn't even think to get my phone out to record it, though. I just hit the screen and it popped up the time, and I sat there and listened and gathered every bit of memory of it I could so I can, try to understand for the future.
Yeah. And that's like pretty close to Oklahoma. Is that correct?
This area is pretty central, south. It's more central. in Arkansas,
Oh,
down in the
okay.
Ozarks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is about an hour and a half southeast of me,
Mm,
so on the Buffalo River, well, probably 15, 20 miles south of the Buffalo River.
yeah. Well, they do follow the waterways, so it does make sense that they were pretty close.
Yeah, the Bigfoot mapping project there's a few other reports pretty close in that area for that.
Yeah, that mapping project is really cool. I check it out from time to time, and it's cool to see all the different reports from the area. And it seems like they include the BFRO reports as well, so it really puts everything together.
Yeah, he seems to be working really hard on getting them all on there, and I enjoy just scrolling and looking around.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more sightings and experiences that aren't logged on the mapping project just because it's on people's properties. And some people are really protective of the Sasquatch. When they find out they're around, they're like, oh, we can't let anybody know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, today I was just out at a spot which is actually near the Missouri border, where I'm at here in Northwest Arkansas. Just was waiting on my friends to come to a RC crawling spot where the locals go and crawl their RC cars on the rocks and stuff. And there's I noticed that on Google Maps they added it as the haunted bear trailhead. I've gone a little bit up before, and there's some rock features and stuff. And this time I went quite a bit farther. Actually, probably went a mile in, and oddly, there was a big cropping, like a rock, like a shelter under the rocks. And it's rained yesterday only. It hasn't rained for like weeks here. It's been so dry. My lips explode. There was a wet spot. I couldn't find any other shoe prints in the area of that, but there was a spot that was bigger than my size 12 hiking boot I took a picture of. I showed my friend, and he was like, "Man, are those footprints in that one spot?" And I mean, it was pretty distinct of a footprint, and it was about 5 feet away from what looked like two holes that were dug with rocks kind of put in and some dirt put back on them, and then I smelt them. I stuck my nose on the ground and smelt them. It smelled like a dog, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. What would do this? So I walked up the creek. There was only It's a pretty populated area here, but all the houses are up on top of the hills. There's nothing down in the hollers. I can only see one house partially this whole time up a mile up and down. On the Bigfoot map project, when you cross the Missouri border a mile or two north of where I was at, there is a report of a vocalization. Now, I didn't continue to go up. I didn't find a cave. There were three sizable for maybe small bear or mountain lion, cougar. But there was two spots with rocks that interested me. This one tree that was coming out of the embankment 5 feet off the ground. There was a rock just sitting on moss about 4 feet off the rock wall, and it had just been placed there because the moss was not discolored. It was just impressed. There was just an impression. And the bottom of the rock was not wet. And then next to him on the ground, across the bank, 5 feet away, there was the same thing, rocks that were set on top of mushrooms. When I lifted up, the mushrooms were the same color. They hadn't been losing sunlight or anything. So they had only been placed there, I guess, recently. I just restacked it for my own thought to put it in a certain way, and I was planning to go back and see if maybe they move. But I know you've stacked rocks and things like that before, like gifting, sort of.
yeah.
But I'm not sure as much, maybe I could just be thinking too much, but I really thought, well, because I did pull some 3-inch hairs off of a tree that had some rubbing about 6 foot off the ground. So it was kind of, I was unplanned, but I feel like I had found some evidence there.
Yeah, it does sound like that. How big was that track that you found?
I have a size 12, and so these were like big Eddie Bauer hiking boots with ankle support. So the outline of it was larger, so it would have been like a 14, size 14, 15 foot.
Yeah, that sounds pretty big to me. And this is further away from where you camped at because that was more central, and this is
Yeah, this is up in about half a mile from the Missouri border in Bella Vista, Arkansas. We have a lot of caves here, um, and and there's really right on the Missouri border. There's nobody really um, has any residents and stuff in that area as much. It kind of gets pretty slow as far as infrastructure in the spot we were at.
yeah. It's pretty cool that Missouri has the Missouri Monster that was out of Louisiana, Missouri, and then you guys have the Boggy Creek story in Arkansas. So I mean, we're kind of in the same area in the United States, and these things are certainly around.
Absolutely. I do know. I do have. Like I said, I've asked people before, and we have one that was called the Montenay Hairy Man, or the Hairy Man of Montenay, the Wild Hairy Man of Montenay. There was a here on Beaver Lake, Arkansas, which all flows from the Ozarks. Basically, it flows from where the Buffalo headwaters starts, and there's a lot of headwaters. So it forms your Table Rock and Bowl Shoals Lake up in Missouri. So we had, when they flooded the lake, the owner of this world-renowned resort that was called Montenay, his son died, and they buried him in a crypt down by the White River. And the story is that they went to retrieve his body, and there was a giant cast iron lid. It was removed. They had to install it with a tractor. So this lid was removed, and Coin Harvey, his son's body, apparently was gone. And then from that point, when they started to flood the lake, there was a lot of reports of the hairy man of Montenay. I have a local guy here that claims that he hunts a Sasquatch in Montenay, over here off of the lake where we live here in Northwest Arkansas. So there's a pattern all over the place. It really is.
Yeah, there really is. And those lakes that you mentioned, there's a lot of reports on the Bigfoot mapping project in those areas. And there's a lot of water, a lot of forest, state parks, national forest runs through there. I'm not sure what's in Arkansas, but yeah, the waterways, I think that's one of the main things that they tend to gravitate towards.
I know that there was a Buffalo watershed regional meeting at the Buffalo headwaters. I think it was in September, near October, August. Anyways, I had a friend who was there, and he actually asked one of the Forest Service rangers. He said, "Hey, do you guys believe in Bigfoot? We know that there's been some reports and stuff." And he said, "Actually, yeah, there has been." What he said was there has been reports in Steel Creek this year, which if you're going to BFRO there, actually you will see a couple of them. And I actually hiked there recently and I didn't find anything citable, but I was hiking. Well, we were walking on the water below some of the big bluffs that are on the Buffalo that they're known for. There was a rock. I mean, it's a small rock, flew right in front of me, hit the ground. I turned around to my buddy. He's like, "Why you throwing rocks at me, man? Don't throw rocks at me." And he jokes a lot. Usually I can tell when he's going to tell me he's joking or not. And so he still wouldn't admit that he threw the rock. And I asked him last weekend again about the rock. if he threw the rock at me. He just still claims he didn't throw a rock at me. So I don't know if that, something up off of a cliff threw a rock down at us, but they're pretty precise if so. The rock throwing seems to be their type of warning without giving out their sound.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And you were camping near the Devil's Fork at Twin Falls. Makes me wonder why they name it the Devil's Fork. There's a lot of Devil's areas in Missouri, like Devil's Backbone. I don't know. There's a bunch of different ones. Makes me think of Sasquatch though.
We have a Devil's Well in the Ozark National Forest where our local Bigfoot hunters, they call it Zone 2, is in their hunting area. I have another friend who claims to have a verbal encounter where he heard rocks basically clacking, and he said he just hightailed it out of there. Yeah, the Devil's thing, the haunted, like we have Devil's Den State Park. The Devil's thing, I don't know what that's about.
Well, I mean, like back in the day before Bigfoot was common knowledge, if you seen something like this, I mean, I would tend to think it was the devil or something, demonic or something evil, without knowing what the heck it is. You know what I mean? David Paulides talks about missing people, and he talks about Alaska, Idaho being a hot spot, and I think Arkansas is like the number one. I'm not for sure if it's number one, because maybe in the lower 48, but supposedly there's a lot of missing people in Arkansas. So that's kind of creepy. Have you noticed a lot of reports? I don't know if you went into like your local Walmart, like missing people, things like that.
I do that. Remember when I was younger that we did have that a lot. We've had, we always do have people that do go missing hiking every year, probably about 5 or 10 of them on the Buffalo River. I personally actually, unfortunately, been hiking the same trail twice that somebody has ended up getting lost and dying on the same time. I never seen them, but the Buffalo gets a lot of traffic these days, and it's like, let's see, probably up to 10 years ago when I first discovered the Buffalo, I could say that, being from this area, I never even heard of the Buffalo River. But now, when you come to our area, people, first thing they want to do is go to the Buffalo River. And it's just, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and you said it's fast-moving water?
That one can be up to a class 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have flowed a section that takes 8 hours on a nice day. And I think about 30 minutes to an hour it took me to do this on a chocolate milk run.
Yeah.
And it was pretty scary, but it can really be flowing.
Oh, I bet. Is it pretty rocky too?
Yeah, there's some big boulders. Like there's some of them that are like the size of a house.
Yeah. Is there a lot of pines in the area? Granite, stuff like that?
A lot of pine, yes. I'm not sure about granite. But yeah, it's pretty piney up there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the cliffs, and they're pretty smooth rock. So I guess it'd be like sandstone. Because the above the Devil's Fork actually is a place called Sandstone Castles, which is a big top of the mountain spot that has a bunch of caves. They call Sandstone Castles. It's like got all these rooms that are caves, and it's like a giant castle. It's a long hike. I haven't made it there yet.
Yeah. Do you think there's a connection with the caves and the Sasquatch?
Yeah, absolutely. When you go there in the fall, you see all the cliff structure. There's so many places for them to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you talk to like big time researchers, they'll say, "Oh, they're too big to get in these caves," and a lot of big animals don't live in caves like that. But I don't know. When you consider the paranormal aspect behind it, people see like the orbs and stuff like that. It's hard telling what's really going on. I noticed on the map, It's kind of close to the Buffalo River. There's an Ozark St. Francis National Forest. Is that pretty close to where you were?
Yeah, I think that would probably be more considered the region that I was in. It splits. It kind of splits in that area. So from where I was at, there's in west and south is mostly that, and the Buffalo River only covers within the river region.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. I noticed there's a little town in the Ozark National Forest called Limestone, and paranormal researchers claim that limestone has a lot to do with the activity, granite and crystals, things like that. But I don't know. I mean, I think they're physically living out there. You know, they live off the land, but still, there's like another aspect, another element that we just don't understand.
Yeah, like a sixth sense or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like they were pretty nice as far as not coming into camp. What would you guys have done if like those vocalizations took place like right there next to camp? Do you think everybody would have stayed, or do you think you guys would have left?
Man, if it was a little bit closer and there wasn't anybody else camping, I think we got probably the last campsite that was open at the camp. There's probably, I'd say 10, 12 campsites there. Um, if it was any closer, would have been waking anybody else up for sure. I do actually. I just remembered. I think I did yell. I said, "What the heck is that?" And just kind of like out of my tent after it happened. But I didn't. Nobody else was like. I guess it only woke me up. If anyone else heard it, they just ignored it.
I've heard encounter stories where like these things will come up to people's houses and like terrorize them, and like their dogs are asleep, like they'd never wake up. Maybe that could have happened with the people, like you were the only one that experienced it, like everybody else was dead asleep or like in a trance possibly. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I've heard that a lot where like other people won't hear it and like
Oh
just one
yeah.
person does.
I'd be the person to hear it. I would tell you that if it was that case, it would definitely have been me. Um, I mean, paranormal, I'd believe it. I mean, they've got just so unique. Whatever is going on out there, we'll figure it out. But I'm looking forward to this. Now that it's really winter, I'm gonna go out and do some just camping out, and I got a couple of spots that be pretty nice to just sit around and hear something happen.
Yeah. I think like regular people that have never experienced the activity just don't understand. But once you hear something or see something, it gets in your blood and you want more answers. You start exploring, or even if you don't go out in the woods, you start like watching all these shows and just trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
Yeah, the people think like I've some people have said, oh well, you've heard an elk before, right? You've heard a mountain lion before. That's probably what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
But
had the
those
same.
those are pretty distinct.
Mhm. Yeah. I've had the same people, or people tell me the same about the things that I've heard. Oh, it's probably a mountain lion, a fox, or an owl screeching, but it's like they just don't understand, you know. But until you experience it for yourself, yeah, it's something out of this world. It seems like. You said your dog was like 100 pounds and he was still afraid. It had to have been
Yeah,
something big.
he's a big old 100 pounder, like German Shepherd Husky, and he he's he's a pretty big boy, and he was like not ready to mess with it. So if he knew what it was.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like dogs just know what it is or know that it's dangerous, but I don't know. It's freaky because there's a lot of reports where dogs just go missing. So I'm glad he stayed close. Some dogs will tear off into the woods, barking and hollering, and that's where they get in trouble.
I tell you, when you say that, I always think of Charlie, the guy near Hot Springs whose dog he's in one of your podcast or one of your videos. was speaking of how when he came out to the chicken shed one night, this thing had Charlie in his arms. He said, "Charlie, come," and he kicked off of him. And he said, like, not 3 weeks later, Charlie just ran off in the woods and wouldn't come back to him, and he never seen Charlie again.
Yeah, that's freaky. Yeah, your dog was smart. It's a good thing he stayed close.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Well, you were saying dogs. There's actually one right closest to me, on the mapping project. It's actually near an off-road park I go to called Rush Springs Ranch. They've had the one of the Bigfoot TV shows that actually came out there and done a whole skit there. I was off-roading the day they came there. It was pretty neat to meet them. I forgot which ones it was. They were in a Jeep covered in their Bigfoot expedition stuff. And this report is in 2021 or 22, I believe. It's only a mile or two from this place. And what she says in there is it comes up and beats on her house, and it calls her dogs by name. And this area up there, I mean, it's like 45 minutes to the Walmart or gas station up there. So it's pretty up there in Missouri from our area. And it's pretty scary to hear something like that, where they're like calling the dog by name. I guess if they watch you all day and hear you calling your dogs by name, they'll be able to replicate it.
Yeah, I've heard that before. That's terrifying. Let's see. Are you going back to that area to camp?
I've really been, I've been planning on it.
Okay.
Probably February, and for sure April when the water when it's raining. Usually into February or early April, I'll start getting out there.
Well, if you're willing to go out in the woods and look, I recommend going to where you think you heard those vocalizations. Like, try to go to the exact spot, and you might find something good.
There's kind of a fear barrier. I've been working on building over time. It is right there on my my list, and for this year to definitely go back there and take a little bit of more of an adventure and rekindle what I experienced and see what I can find.
Don't go alone. Definitely go armed, just because that's deep woods there.
Gotta be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Brandon, I appreciate you for logging down your experience on the channel and doing this podcast with me.
And I'm really excited that I got to share that.
Yeah, me too. And if you experience anything else, feel free to reach out to me. And if you can, go to that Bigfoot mapping project and log it down if you can. I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to give away the location, but it could help people. It could inspire other people to tell their experiences and encounters, and it'd just be cool to see the dots on the map and see what's happened. Yeah, if you find anything else, just reach back out to me, or if you need to talk about anything, I'd be glad to talk to you again.
Man, well, I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to connect with someone else who I'll just watch you every night. I just always watching stuff, so just kind of peaceful.
Okay. Well, Brandon, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have an excellent Christmas, and I hope the best for you, bud. Make sure that you bring somebody else with you when you go out there, though.
We'll do that, man. Yeah, you have a Merry Christmas too.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, man. Take care.
Thank you. You too, Nick.
Bye. All right, Brandon, I really appreciate you for sharing your experience, and really means a lot to me. It sounds like there's a lot of people out there who have experiences while camping, while driving on the road, and that sounds reasonable. It sounds like a lot of people would experience something if they were actually out there in the forest, spending time out there in nature, and even if it's driving in a vehicle. But yeah, being in a tent seems to be the most optimal way to experience Sasquatch activity. So you guys have to get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. But as you guys know, there's a lot of outdoorsmen, a lot of campers on YouTube that are out there in the woods, and rarely do they experience anything. I know the Outdoor Gear Review, he experiences things every now and then, and he's out there all the time. He doesn't necessarily say it's Bigfoot, but he has described hearing voices, hearing things following him on the trail, and it seems like he wants to know what it is. He's open-minded, but he's not saying it's Sasquatch. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for listening. And if you have a Sasquatch encounter, an experience that you would like to share, please email me. Get in contact with me, and we can talk about what you got going on and possibly have you on the show. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you for listening. And until the next one, take care, guys.